I'm wondering today who's watching, who's facing real disappointment, real pain, real discouragement, real confusion, real hurt, real wondering, when is my purpose gonna pick up? When am I gonna actually discover why on earth I'm here?
Your values in life determine your stress, determine your success, and determine your salvation. Unclear values cause confusion. They cause confusion in your life. Conflicting values in your life cause tension. Unclear cause confusion. Conflicting values cause tension. False values create deception. And the wrong values create dysfunction.
A bad attitude makes you unattractive. It overrides what's on the outside. It's important to look good, to develop your skills, to get an education, but it's even more important to keep a good attitude.
Like attracts like. You have to understand, you are a magnet. Whatever you are, that's what you draw to you. If you're negative, you're gonna draw negativity. You're positive, you draw positive. You're a kind person, more people are kind to you. So you're like a magnet, you know, and you gotta understand something about like attracts like. If you see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
Live like a warrior so you can die like a legend. Let us fight and fight and don't surrender. Gotta fight. Gotta live like a warrior. You gotta be in fight mode. Warriors are vigilant. My favorite book says, watch as well as pray. You got to watch. You don't want to go to sleep at the wheel. You got to watch. You don't want to get caught up in the hoopla. Oh, get it done in 21. Yeah, you have the power to get it done in 21, but you got to watch what's going on.
Your attitude is going to determine your altitude. It will determine how high or how low you go. Well, Joel, I've always been kind of negative, critical, condescending. That's just who I am. No, that's who you're choosing to be. That's not who you are. That may be how you were raised, but that's not how you have to stay. Try being kind, friendly, good-natured. You'll not only enjoy life more, but you'll go further.
So forget what can't be changed and focus on the future. Until you learn to do this, you're going to be unhappy much of your life. Because you hold on to the habits, and you hold on to the hurts and the hang-ups, and you hold on to the grief and the guilt and the grudges, and that causes so much unhappiness in your life. You got to let it go.
Disappointment happens for a whole lot of different reasons. Yet I think the most basic way that we could define how a disappointment takes place is disappointment is birthed from unmet expectations. Just because you're facing a disappointment today doesn't mean that you have to live defeated. It doesn't have to let you believe that your whole entire destiny is delayed and will never ever be reached. No, life is gonna have highs and lows, peaks and troughs.
So many people overlook this very simple quality. You don't have to figure it out. That's what freezes people. When you're trying to figure out your life all the way to the end, when you can't figure it out, it freezes you from trying it because you go, oh, well, I can't figure that out. Oh, I can't go over there because I don't know how. You don't have to know how. You have to ask, believe, and receive.
And sometimes we're discouraged over what we brought on ourselves. It's not the enemy, it's our attitude. The good news is, all you have to do is make an attitude adjustment. It's not complicated. You can't change other people. You can't change how you were raised. A lot in life we can't control. But one thing we can all control is our attitude.
And be vigilant, because it's a new place, a new strategy. Stuff's going on. Some we're aware of, a lot of it we don't know. And we got to stay and fight mode. Why? You know why I have my pictures of my children there? It's not about, I'm 75. I know I got more yesterdays than tomorrows. I got to stay in fight mode. What? I'm going to finish strong.
Are you focusing all your energies? You have a limited amount of energy. You don't have unlimited energy. Since you don't have unlimited energy, I highly suggest you don't waste any of it on something that you can't change in the past. Why in the world would you give one more second of emotional energy to something that is never going to change? It's done, it's over, it's finished. Your past is past. You got to let it go.
When you're good-natured, friendly, opportunity will come your way. People want to do business with people that they like.
Maybe it's not some other person you're disappointed. Maybe it's yourself. This is something that I struggle with in quite a massive way. Is that usually most of my disappointments aren't because of other people. Most of my disappointments in life are because of me. I tend to disappoint myself more than anybody else disappoints me. I tend to not live up to my own expectations, to my own standards, to my own values, and I find myself often beating myself up or talking down to myself, and I can find myself at times living in a cloud of disappointment that has nothing to do with anybody else. It has everything to do with the way that I look at myself.
It's a major key that most people shy away from. And this is not for everybody. This is not for the faint at heart. People who have no goals and no dreams and okay with living a small life. Don't get anything done with the same mindset, the same relationships, the same vision, no direction, no purpose. They're okay with that.
Am I going to live this day negative, sour, seeing the wrong, chip on my shoulder, or am I going to live it in faith, positive, hopeful, seeing the best, being good to people? This is a choice that we have to make every day. If you're going to have a good attitude, you have to do it on purpose, because there will be all kinds of negative things that try to creep in. If you're not proactive, if you don't choose the right attitude, then the wrong attitude will show up.
Everything about this life has created a sense of urgency, and everybody has been scattered. And that's what I believe is happening right now. This is when survival instincts kicks in. This is when it's real. This is when it's about you, your survival instincts, and God.
Being sorry comes and goes, but every day doesn't have to be a sorry story about you.
That you eat and sleep that, and that you do that, so you've got to work on it.
The reason that people adjust the goal, the reason that they move it closer, the reason that they lower the bar and make it easier is because they're afraid.
The difference is not your ability. What we do at any moment in time in that moment is based on the state that our mind and body is in at that moment in time.
I'm sorry I'm late today. I'm sorry I broke your heart. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I'm sorry I didn't do this. I'm sorry I didn't do that. When are you gonna come back to the reality and just do what is necessary to carry on? Do better. Do better within yourself. Being better, it's a process in all itself. But sorry just won't cut it. Stop pretending and start doing, because no one owes you anything. This is a reality check.
Has anybody ever seen something for you that you didn't see it for yourself? I didn't see that for myself. Maybe that's why my favorite book says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. Because of what he saw in me, He inspired me. He gave me a vision of myself beyond my circumstances, beyond my mental conditioning, and beyond the job where I was, because I thought I was just a disc jockey. I love that. I'm master of microphone. You drop me in any city, I can master a microphone. I can turn a city upside down with a microphone. But I had more in me than I was expressing, and I did not know it. And because of his encouragement, I became a community activist. Because of his encouragement, I started doing a talk show called Voice of the People. Because of his encouragement, when I got out of radio, I ran for the Ohio legislature and I was elected.
Stop making sorry your master. Stop making sorry your place of business. Sorry? What you sorry for? Are you sorry that you woke up this morning? Are you sorry that you didn't make the cut? Are you sorry you just didn't have what it took? Stop being sorry and start doing better. Better within you. Better than anyone has ever seen. Better than your mistakes. Better than your failures. Better than those that doubted you. Sorry? You're not sorry. You just need to do better. Better is what you should be seeking, not sorry.
And because of his encouragement, I passed 14 bills my first term. Because of his encouragement, I was elected 3 times and became the chairman of the Human Resource Committee. Because of his encouragement, I became a public speaker. Because of his encouragement, I became an author. Because of his encouragement, I did a show for King World called The Les Brown Show, and they paid me $5 million, $2 million not to speak. Because of his encouragement, I produced specials for PBS, public television. They said, you couldn't do that. You don't have a college education. It's educational television. Because of his encouragement, I did so many things I had absolutely no idea that I could do. I encourage you to live full and to die empty. There's more in you right now than just working on a job where they pay you just enough to keep you from quitting and you work just hard enough to keep from getting fired. And when you make the decision and identify that key area of your life that you need to make a radical change, things will begin to open up for you.
In other words, what people can do is absolutely incredible. What they will do is usually disappointing. And the difference is not their capability, but rather what state are they in right now. If every time they think about public speaking, they associate fear or pain, that's going to change their state. And all of a sudden they're going to feel tight in their body, and their whole emotional state will change, and they're not going to get the most out of themselves. But if whenever they think of public speaking, they think of absolute pleasure, they're going to be in a great state of mind, and they're going to get more out of themselves. I mean, think about it. When you're feeling really frustrated, do you behave the same way as when you're feeling like you're on a roll and things are flowing? Obviously not. You have the same ability, but things act and behave differently coming out of you. You speak differently, you communicate differently, everything changes.
They're afraid of what it says about them. They're afraid that they're not going to be able to accomplish it. They're afraid to tell people what they're up to. They're afraid to even dream big because they don't know if they're going to make it. They don't know if they have inside what it's going to take to persevere. But I'm telling you right now, it's as a process step. You simply change it so that when something proves itself to be impossible, you don't ask, how do I change it to something that is possible? Instead, you find another way around. You find a way to believe that there is always a path to making the impossible possible. That you understand that as you grow and get better and become capable of more, that you can overcome things that were impossible yesterday. And that, my friends, is the key to accomplishment.
I'll give you another example. Have you ever forgotten something simple like your own home telephone number or address, or how to spell the word the? Ever had one of those enlightening experiences? Now, you know how to spell the word the. How come you couldn't remember? The answer is because you're in what I call a stupid state, right? You were in a state of mind where your brain wasn't able to get a hold of the answers. The answers are there, but you couldn't get there. So I believe one of the most important things, probably the most important thing that you and I can do in our lives to create the power and joy and passion that we really want is to learn to manage our own states of mind. In fact, think of the cost of not managing them. If you don't manage your emotional state, it'll cost you virtually everything you want in your life. Friends, family, success, and just the joy that every one of us wants to experience on a daily basis. Hey, let me ask you a question. Is what happens in your life the thing that determines how you feel at any moment in time? Yes or no? In other words, it doesn't matter whether or not, for example, the economy is doing really strong as to whether or not you feel good.
To understand the only difference between the possible and the impossible is your set of skills, a belief in yourself, a belief that you can get good at anything that you set your mind to. So make that the pillar upon which all of your identity stands, that when times get hard, you go harder.
As Ernest Hemingway noted, the world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are stronger in the broken places. But my question is, why isn't everyone? To me, it comes down to the strategies that you use. There really isn't anything objectively good or bad. There isn't anything that happens to you that can't be overcome. There isn't anything that could happen to you. Anything.
Most people say no. Some people say, well, you bet. No, does it matter how your relationships are going? Does that determine how you feel? Is how you feel determined by the weather? By how much sun or rain there is? Is it determined by how other people treat you? I'm here to tell you the answer to that is no. I'm not saying that it doesn't complement or support you feeling one way or another. I'm saying how you feel at any moment in time is purely designed and the result of how you are directing your own mind and body at that moment. What I'm saying to you is no matter what is happening in your life, you are in control of your own states. And once you understand that, number one, and number two, you use that ability, you now have control over your life at a whole new level. And you have more fun and joy and passion than you ever dreamed of once you take that responsibility and take that control. Now, for some people, when they say, well, that seems like a heavy responsibility, well, look at the opposite. What's the price of not managing your states?
And you've got this plan, you've got this aim, this target, that you got to stay committed. With tears in your eyes, you got to be committed when your brain is hurting. You got to be committed.
A good father. And sometimes I'm tired. I don't feel I have the strength. I don't feel that I'm good enough. But I realize that doesn't mean just because you don't think you're good enough doesn't mean you can't be good.
To a homemaker, it probably means that she has a well-run household and a wonderful family. To an outside professional, it's most likely the thrill of closing a major contract.
You might have more talent than me. You might be smarter than me. But I will not be outworked, period. It's such a simple, basic concept. Is the guy who is willing to hustle the most is going to be the guy that just gets that loose ball. There's only one thing you cannot purchase. There's only one thing you cannot buy, and that's what real peace do. That's something you're going to have to do. You got to put more energy, and you got to put more effort in your stuff than anybody, so you're getting up at 4.
When you haven't gotten sleep in a few days, you got to be committed. You got to plow through that depression, that heaviness, that weariness, and you got to cling to the joy of the thought of the future that if you finish this course, then there is a reward at the end of this pain. You may feel as though you are not able to breathe now. You may be inundated with responsibility, and it seems as though there is no way out of this. You have to be grateful for the ground that you've gained and guard the ground that you've gained. Celebrate the small wins. If we keep looking at the big picture, if we keep looking at the end game, if that's all we fix our eyes on,
doesn't mean you can't be great. Doesn't mean you can't carry on. Every battle that you fight in your life doesn't mean you're going to always win that battle, because there are going to be many battles that you're going to have to fight. And every battle is not meant for you to win. Sometimes these battles are meant for you to learn. They're meant for you to grow. They're meant for you to understand that you can still keep moving as long as you believe. So yes, I get tired. You will get tired. Yes, you will question your abilities.
Then we'll get off kilter. We'll lose our footing and we'll walk around discouraged, because you're not going to just wake up in one day and fulfill destiny. It's the process that's perfecting us. It's the ins and the outs and the nuances. It's the song and the dance between destiny and the journey and the process and the promise. And we've got to learn how to execute the day. Give us this day. You got to learn how to execute the day, that you conquer the day. I'm not where I'm supposed to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And so we've got to celebrate the small wins, those mental wins, those emotional wins, those relational wins, those financial wins, those spiritual wins. We've got to celebrate.
Yes, you will start thinking to yourself that, hey, I'm not ready for this. The fact of the matter is, when you were born and you were ready. If you made it this far, you were ready for something even greater. But when that weakness starts to show up, when your mind starts to play tricks on you and starts to lie to you and say you're not worthy, you have to understand that you got to take control of your thoughts and your mind and your process and your abilities. Because every test is either meant to be passed or meant to be failed. And you can't be in the business of failing every time you get put in a position where you're being challenged. Can you go on? Absolutely.
You read the book once and you didn't get it. Read it twice. Read it 3 times if a person leaves. At 6, you leave at 8. If a person makes 100 calls a day, you make 200 calls a day. If somebody practices 3 hours, you practice 5 hours. If somebody practices 6 hours, you practice 8 hours. If someone reads 2 books, you read 4 books. Just do a little bit more because there's somebody out there who wants your spot, and so you gotta embody excellence.
Or the pride in accepting a performance bonus, or being named the top producing salesperson. But the one thing you will hear from everyone who is successful is that they are happy with who they are and what they are doing. They are happy, content, satisfied. Success is a pleasure. What have you done today that makes this day successful? Think about it and write it down. If at the end of the day you can jot down the things that have made it a good day, you will soon see patterns forming. This really is a good habit to get into. When you can see a pattern of pleasure, you'll know you're on the road to success.
They want me because I'm anointed to co-sign what they're doing. That's it. They like, E.T. got a relationship with God. If E.T. says it's cool, then it's cool. Are you hearing what I'm saying? I'd rather do elementary kids than grown men. Elementary kids, they've been broke, but they ain't broke yet. Grown people broke. It's easier to help somebody who is broken at a young age than a 50-year-old, a 40-year-old, a 30-year-old. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm telling you to do, since you hate being told what to do, you're going to have to fix yourself since you don't like nobody else telling you what to do. There's something that is blocking your next level, and it's you, and you want to keep saying it's somebody else.
There's one thing to be hungry. It's another thing when you're starving for greatness and starving for success. You start train like it's your life, not a game, like it's your life. Like this, the last opportunity, only opportunity, see a guy like me. I knew someone was better than me. There's more talented people than me, probably more talented than you, but you might outwork me for 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. But you ain't gonna beat me over a year. You can outwork me over 2 years. You're gonna work me over 3 years. I might get you eventually. I'm a dripping damn faucet. I just keep coming at you.
So take note of Mr. Franklin's 3 principles of success and ambition. Number 1, big achievements come one small advantage at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time. Number 2, you have the power to mold your life, to make it whatever you want, to shape it and reshape it. And number 3, success is measured through pleasure. This is the key one. Success is measured through pleasure. You've got to be happy along the way. You've got to learn to give yourself a pat on the back. Good job, you need to tell yourself. I'm proud of me today. You've got to be happy. You've got to learn to enjoy the process. These are really common sense ideas. They're practical. And William James agreed. He's another American great, one of the most notable philosophers and psychologists in our history.
People like E.T., I want to do what you do. No, you don't. I'm my own boss. When I worked at Michigan State, I had to be to work at 9 o'clock. When I work for myself, I get up at 3. When I worked at Michigan State, I get to leave at 5. When you work for yourself, you don't have no time when you get off. You don't get off. You stop when the work is done. I work harder for myself than I did and you talking about you want to work for yourself. No, you don't. You can't show up for another man. I'm just being real. There are those of you who work for yourself, you don't even have a plan. You don't even have like a vacation package for yourself. You just get to get off whenever you want to. What kind of job is that? You can just take off when you want to? That ain't no real job. You ain't got no insurance. You ain't paying yourself. But when you had a job, you could get there for them when they wanted you to get there. Oh, you had to tell them when you was gonna be sick, when you want, but for yourself, you ain't gotta do nothing?
You might think I'm knocked out, I just keep coming. I'm too damn tough to give up. Most people have ass. Half their life, all the time, I knew they were gonna get tired, they were gonna flinch. They were gonna get down, they quit. Improving themselves, they start sleeping. And they spend all their damn money, I'm not. Gonna do that stuff, let's save money, I'm gonna get up early, I'm gonna keep getting wide, I'm gonna stay relentless. It is the process of the grind that shapes you and forms you, it's not the game, and that's why most of y'all get beat in the cave or make mistakes in the game.
What most people fail to realize is that pain is inevitable and it is unavoidable.
Now, if you're the type of person that feel that you got to be the best at everything,
We must unweave every strand of the cable of habit slowly and methodically.
There's 4 more fingers pointed right back at you. On every second of your life, because it's yours. No one else is going to give you anything you did not earn or deserve. Life is hard. It's hard, guys, I know it is, but guess what? If you want to live an amazing life, you got to do amazing things. You got to do those things that nobody else wants to do so you can live that life that nobody else can. Get up and just do it. You got to dig. You got to dig deep. You got to own it.
There is no path in life without pain. Whatever it is that you're going after, whoever it is that you've been destined to become, you cannot have it. You will not become it without pain. You will face challenges and difficulties and giants, regardless if you are single, if you are married, if you are a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home father, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're working a 9-to-5, if you're an educator, if you are an athlete, if you are a musician, a singer, a producer, it doesn't matter who you are, what you are doing, pain is inevitable. If I'm going to hurt like this, if I'm going to bleed like this, if I'm going to cry like this, let me cry because I'm in the best shape of my life.
that's a great mindset to have. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Wake up. You can't be the best at everything. And if you're running because you're failing, then you've already failed the test. Because you're not man enough and you're not woman enough to realize that maybe, just maybe, I need to fail. So that the next time I'm faced with a challenge, I know exactly what I need to do. But then there's another one that's coming. There's another challenge waiting on me. And then there's another challenge waiting on me. And then there's another challenge waiting on me. That doesn't mean that you gotta give up. That doesn't mean you gotta quit. You learn from it. You build on it. And then you understand what it means to fail. Learning the things that I've learned in my life, it taught me something.
I don't know what it is for you, but you got to own it. Through all the ups, all the downs, remember that you are not perfect, so get over yourself. One thing I know is that you are perfectly imperfect, just like me. What do you do to better yourself? Are you owning it? Are you taking responsibility, or are you blaming somebody else for the wrongs against you? It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to fix it. It's your life, and nobody else can do it for you. So get up and go do those things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them anymore.
Let me cry because I'm conditioned to weather the uphill war. Let me cry because I'm building my relationship. I'm building my business. I'm building my legacy. Let me cry because it hurt, but there is a reward on the other end of my pain. Let me cry tears because I passed the test, because I gave it everything I had. Choose your heart. Everything in life comes with hardship. Make a decision. At some juncture, you will encounter pain. And the moment that you get acquainted with pain, you get acquainted with hardship, you realize that no matter what you do, no matter how much you study, no matter how much you plan, you will not be able to avoid a measure of pain.
I fail right now. I'm failing every day. Every day I fail at something. Maybe this is the time for me to recognize that I got work to do. Maybe this is the time that I need to recognize that I'm not so good at everything. Failing is what's going to build you up. Failure is what's going to teach you the lessons in life. It's okay. Don't try to keep up with everybody else. Don't try to be like everybody else. Recognize that you, my friend, are unique and you are beautiful. But most importantly, you are an idea and you are a purpose and you matter in this world. But you're going to have to fail. The failure is good. The quitting isn't. You got to have the grit and the tenacity not to quit. The grit to never quit. But the idea of learning that failure is a part of living. If you want it, if you believe in it, then go get it.
So, get up and get set. Set yourself apart from being average, because you are not average. You are great. It's greatness, that's what it is. It's time for you to get the break that you deserve today and fight this good fight, because you're going to be a fighter every single day for the rest of your life. It's your life. It's your life, so guess what, guys? If you do the hard things in life, life gets easy. But if you do the easy things in life, life is going to be hard. The choice is yours.
Until the cable that once held us in bondage becomes nothing more than scattered strands of wire. It takes the consistent application of a new discipline, a more desirable one to overcome one which is less desirable. It takes discipline to plan. It takes discipline to execute our plan. It takes discipline to look with full objectivity at the results of our applied plan. And it takes discipline to change either our plan or our method of executing that plan if the results are poor. It takes discipline to be firm when the world throws opinions at our feet. It takes discipline to ponder the value of someone else's opinion when our pride and our arrogance leads us to believe that we are the only ones with the answers. Discipline is a constant human awareness of the need for action and a conscious act by us to implement that action.
But the only way it's permanent is that we alter that governor, that thermostat, and we start to believe we're worth 85 degrees of life, 95 degrees of life, 110 degrees of life. And there's ways we can alter them.
How do we alter it?
A couple different ways. One is what you just said, is that you put yourself in circumstances that are demanding of you past what you think your capacity is, and when you succeed at them, you build a new water line. You do. You throw yourself out there past where you're comfortable, and you do an 85 degrees behavior, and you knock it out of the park, and your brain starts to believe it. Repetitiously, when you start doing that, you build a new line. Now you're 85 degrees. That's number one. The second way, though, is association. If you're around people, and whatever that endeavor is, if it's a sport you're in, or if it's a business, or your faith, or your peace, if you begin to associate with people who live in that space at a higher temperature than you, through association you get heated up.
Yeah.
And so if you're an athlete, for example, you're a 70-degree athlete, and you start training all the time with 85 and 90 degrees, your identity through osmosis goes up. If you're a person who's trying to improve their faith in their life or their personal peace about them.
Discipline is an awareness of the constant need for action and a conscious act to implement that action. If our awareness and our implementations occur at the same time, then we begin a valued sequence of disciplined activity. Now here's the other side of discipline. If there's considerable time that passes between the moment of awareness and the time of our implementation, then that is called procrastination. Doing it tomorrow instead of today. Procrastination, an almost exact opposite of discipline. The voice within us says, get it done. Discipline then says, do it now. Do it to the best of your ability, today, tomorrow, and always, until finally the worthy deed becomes instinctive. Procrastination says later, tomorrow, whenever I get a chance. Procrastination also says, do what is necessary to get by or to impress others.
You all know this. You've seen it. When you start to hang around people that are a little bit more peaceful than you or meditate a little bit more, through that association, over time, the thermostat changes in that area. And so it's both behaving in a certain way and then your associations usually change.
I believe that.
Rule number 2, don't sell your will to win.
Most people's will to win is for sale.
Sometimes you got to take a break from just about everything disappear, come back, and shock the world. I'm talking to that athlete. I'm talking to that administrator. I'm talking to that nurse, that doctor. I'm talking to that student. I'm talking to that communicator. I'm talking to that pioneer, the inventor. I'm talking to that entrepreneur. I'm talking to that preacher. I'm talking to that person who refuses to stay.
You know, sometimes, man, it's good to hear from somebody that you might think is successful that can share a piece of information, because a lot of people, that's really all that's missing from a person.
Just say, I can. Yeah, come on, I can. I can. Come on, one time. Yep, I will. Yep, I must.
Develop the ability to act. Take action. Not hasty if it isn't required, but don't lose much time. Here's the time to act. When the idea is hot and the emotion is strong.
We do our best when our destinations are beyond the measurement. We are thinking of the finish line, nowhere in process the approach is the destination, and we are never finished. Some of you just got to begin to believe. For some of you, what I want you to do is throw something on a wall. Every time I see you, I say the same thing because I think we overcomplicate it. It's the power of the choice, the power of using the people around you and not being afraid of failing, but being afraid of not trying. You can't just talk about wanting to win. You have to prepare to win, and you have to expect to win.
Going from this level to the next level, it's just a piece of information. It's not money, it's information. Because being successful is just knowing the principles of success. Like, if you understood a very simple principle, the principle of gratitude, do you understand that if you were to wake up every day and go down a list of things and just tell God what you're grateful for? Don't wake up a single day without going down the list of things you're grateful for. It could be something minute. You know, waking up, you should really thank him every day, because I don't know if you notice or not, you really don't have the ability to wake yourself up. You really don't. A lot of alarm clocks go off and people don't answer the bell.
I don't care if you got to listen to me 1,000 times. I need you to get crystal clear about your future. Because the only reason why you are here, the only reason why you're alive is because you have work to do. And you got to figure out, why on earth are you here? What is your destiny? What is the dream that God has given you? You got to have like a shark mentality, because if a shark swims backward, it dies. A shark can only move forward. And so I need you every single day you wake up to smell blood and go after that dream.
Come on, you ain't hungry no more? Next 100, I need you to stay focused. Why? You should still be hungry. What have you eaten that got you satisfied? What have you done? What have you accomplished that got you so full?
I have too much to accomplish.
Your alarm clock can go off, but God has to shake you, to wake you, so you hear them. That's, you know, it's not the alarm. So if you wake up every day and you go down the list of things that you're grateful for, what God does in return is he gives you more things to be grateful for, because he's a very wise and generous God, right? If you're not grateful for the things I've given you and you have no gratitude for it, and that seems to be really mundane to you, it's burdensome, why would I overload you with some more stuff that you ain't grateful for? See, gratitude, man, people don't understand how important that little thing is. Even if you don't have a plan, even if you don't know what your next move is, if you just woke up every day and just thanked him for just all the things you can go down, the next day, the very next day,
to be satisfied with where I am right now. I have too much on the line. I have too many people depending on me to win. I must stay hungry. You got to get hungry, 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 hungry. Eliminate all distractions. Eliminate all distractions. So you got to have a goal. You got to have a dream. You got to get hungry. And then you got to get real disciplined. Because motivation will get you going. A speech will get you fired up. But discipline is going to give you the power to stay committed to whatever that goal is.
You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. The Bible says he was in a pig pen, and he came to himself, and he went home. Get your butt up.
Do not let misery control the life that you have. Do not let anyone tell you how to live. And do not let anyone validate your purpose. Do not let anyone validate your destiny. Someone told you a long time ago that you wasn't worthy. Someone looked you in the eye and said, you wasn't going to make it. I say to you right now that you will make it. I say to you right now that you must make it. I say to you right now that you must tell excuses, fear, and doubt that it has no place in your place of business. For this is your life that you are fighting for. This is your life that you are living for. And make no mistake, no one is going to do you better than you.
That's the time to act. You say, Mr. Rohn, I'd like to have a library like yours. See if you feel strong about that. What you got to do is get the first book and then get the second book. Before the feeling passes and before the idea gets dim, action pronto, action immediate, action as soon as possible. Because if you don't, here's what happens. We call it the law of diminishing intent. We intend to when the idea strikes us. We intend to when the emotion is high. But now if you don't translate that into action fairly soon, now the intent starts to diminish. And a month from now, it's cold. A year from now, can't be found. So act.
You pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're pushing, and you're doing everything right. I'm not coach right now. I'm your conscience. You're in a fight between will and skill. I say will first because that's where you are. You locked and loaded with skill. You practicing every day. You putting in your work. You buying everything. You making the investment. You living your dream. You walking like your dream. You surrounding yourself around your dream. You got mentors, everything. You putting your work in. You got your skill. Now it's a test of your will. It's a mindset thing you in right now. It's a mindset thing because your challenge ain't moving. Your mountain is not moving. You don't feel like you're making any progress. You're not physically moving when you see everything else around you and other people around you moving. You're not making progress. You're in the test of your will right now.
Don't wait for something to happen. You make it happen. You make it happen for a reason and take full responsibility and control of this thing we call life. Excellence, do you really believe that it's something that happens overnight and can't be given to you? No one is going to hand it to you. You have to sleep, you have to breathe, you have to eat it. Every single day of your life, applause, until you achieve that greatness. When we talk about excellence, we are talking about an obsession to outwork and outperform. Everybody in the room, what is your current standard on life on excellence? Or how you pursue things, how you operate, basically when you show up.
Set up a discipline when the emotions are high and the idea is strong and clear and powerful. That's the time to set up a discipline. Somebody talks about good health and you're stirred. It's right. You need to get a book on nutrition. Get the book before the idea passes and before the emotion gets cold. Go for the book. Start the library. Start the process. Fall on the floor. Do some push-ups. Action. Got to take action. Otherwise, the wisdom is wasted. Otherwise, the emotion soon passes. Unless you put it into a disciplined activity. Capture it. Disciplines is called how to capture the emotion and how to capture the wisdom and translate it into equity. Disciplines. Now here's what's important about disciplines. All disciplines affect each other. In fact, here's a good philosophical phrase. Everything affects everything else. Nothing stands alone.
Because life says it has a little more test for you. You can look at your challenge with skill and it will see it just as that. A challenge. Or you can look at your challenge with will and see it as much.
Understand this and listen to me clearly. You may forget this face, you may forget this voice, you may forget who told you, but get your pads out. Don't ever forget these words that I'm about to tell you. If you want to be great in this life, you only have one choice, gentlemen. You only have one choice. You can make choices that just get you remembered, or you can make choices that ultimately make you a legend.
You show up in an excellent way? Do you show up with an average way? How do you show up in a mediocre, have prepared, half thought out way? Listen to me very carefully. Excellence is about standard, and excellence is a requirement for your dream to come true when others are sleeping. You need to be awake, work on having an excellent driven mindset. Sure, there are going to be some times and you're going to just fall to the left, and you may even fall to the right. You may even fall back. Learn from your mistakes, grow from your mistakes, and become unique, but never quit. Music, don't stop moving forward.
When everybody's out there making mistakes, when everybody's out there not being responsible, are you going to be the one to be responsible? If you are a father, if you are a mother, it is your responsibility to be the best parent that you can be. If you are in charge of a company, or you're a manager, or anything that requires your responsibility to step up, then it is up to you to lead by example. You have to take the lead, not always following, but leading the pack, leading in the right direction, doing the things that will take you to the levels that you need to go and beyond them. But you can't hold back anymore. And you can't say, I'm sorry all the time, because your sorry just ain't gonna cut it. Step up to the plate and be responsible. Step up to the plate and do what's necessary. Step up to the plate and do all the things that is required, and then we can talk. Then we can talk about the next thing in your life. Then you can have that intimate conversation with yourself, within yourself, and realize that this is it. Now I got more work to do. There comes a time in your life where you have to step up to the plate. There comes a time in your life where you have to understand the significance of what it means to be responsible. To have the responsibility to understand that you have to take full control of your actions. Now, many people tend to wait and not get themselves in a position to where they need to be and to be accountable for what they do in their lives. Being responsible, taking full action of everything you do in your life depends on you. Now, many people are waiting for something. They're waiting for something to happen. They're waiting for someone to give them the okay to move on. But this is not something that you need to be thinking about. You have got to realize that it is up to you to make moves, to move forward, to get the job done. Being responsible, taking full responsibility to everything that you do, from the way you speak, the way you walk, maybe even the way you dress. Because your presentation and everything you do depends on you. I'm here to let you know right now, ladies and gentlemen, that you got to be the one to take action. You got to be the one to realize that it is up to you to get things done and get it done the right way. Sometimes people just don't want to be responsible. They want to make excuses. They want to hold back. They're waiting for something. As I said before, waiting is not going to get the job done. Ask yourself, when you get up in the morning, what is your daily routine? What is your routine every single day of your life? What did you miss out on? What did you forget?
Let's be honest. How many of you sometimes you build with one hand, but sometimes you tear down with that same hand? Be honest, where are you? Come on, be honest. Yep, thank you, be honest. Yep. That's not the goal is not to self-sabotage. The goal is not to hurt yourself. The goal is not to the goal is not to get here and then hurt yourself and does that make sense? Good, all right, empathy. Now I wanna add to this one though. Here's what you have to teach those who are working with you. All right, the last one, which is AQ, adversity quotient. The ability of an individual to think through, manage, and endure challenges in life. Listen to me, I'm telling you, so many people have been taken out the game by COVID. It was Winston Churchill who said, never let a good crisis go to waste. So we've got to teach them that in the crisis is the best time. Why? Because most people are going to fall off. This is the best time. It's the best time to make money. This is the best time to get with a team. This is the best time to be with a company. This is the best time to be with a group, not to be by yourself. This is the best time. If there was ever a time you needed community, there was ever a time you needed other people, if there was other time you needed resources, if there was ever a time you needed to be with a machine, that this is the time. So they need to understand that, yep, a lot of us do IQ, that's the company, that's the product. EQ, we teach people, how to be persuasive. We teach them how to manage their emotions. But what we have to teach people so that we don't lose the 90%, because most of them the 90% get lost because of challenges. And we got to teach them that when a challenge comes, you can either drown with the waves or you can surf on them. I want you to think about that. There's some people who drown with waves. There's some people who surf on them. And we've got to teach people how to do what? Surf on them. We've got to teach people that a setback is a setup for a comeback. We got to teach people that trials and tribulations are only there to make you strong. We got to teach people that trials don't mean quit. Trials mean keep going. Listen to me. This is stuff we can teach. We can teach people that. We can teach people a realistic time frame, and we can use ourselves to show them what we did. We can teach people how to persevere. It's just not a natural gift for some people, but it can be taught. Good. Anybody else? Why did the 90 quit? They thought it would be easy. Good. So it's not the fact that it's hard that's difficult, it's that they thought it was going to be easy that made it difficult. So if they can learn in the first week or two, the first 30 days, that is not going to be that's not going to be easy, it's going to be difficult, we got a chance of keeping them a lot longer. Does that make sense?
It's partly responsibility. I don't think that people have talked to young people about responsibility in any real sense. Not and being on their side at the same time for like 50 years. And that's just too long, because most people find the meaning in their life through responsibility. Some people just die, and horribly. Yeah, life's rough, no doubt about it. And if good luck comes your way, then you should be grateful for it. And if happiness manages to manifest itself, you should be grateful for that too. Well, I think the deck is stacked against everyone to some degree, because life is very difficult and we all die. So, but some people do have it harder than others. And all of us have it very hard at some times in our lives. It's like, well, what's the alternative? You take responsibility for that and try to struggle uphill, because the alternative makes everything worse. It's not like it's fair. I know perfectly well that people have brutal lives. I've been a psychotherapist for 20 years. I've seen things you can't imagine, horror shows that you can't fathom, and people who have been hurt in so many ways, so many dimensions. It's like, bitter? Should they be bitter? Should they be resentful? Should they become violent? These things don't help. They have to struggle uphill despite their excess burden. And it's responsibility, not guilt. It's not necessarily their fault. That's not the point. It's hard to tell. The broader social effect is not going to be good, because lots of the things that are happening in the universities that aren't good are already leaking out into the broader social world. Part of what's going to happen is that people are going to stop coming and speaking on campuses. The comedians in the United States, many of them already won't they won't come and do their shows on campus, because everybody's so sensitive to offense. But it also drives political polarization, which isn't a good thing unless you want to drive political polarization. And I think the universities are going to cut the branch off that they sit on. It's a terrible problem. So imagine okay, so the rule is you can't offend anyone, all right? Let's say you're speaking to one person, I can't offend you. All right, fair enough. What if I'm speaking to 10 people? Do I get to offend 1 in 10? How about 1 in 100? How about 1 in 1,000? You're going to come out on stage and you're going to say something important about something vital, and you're not going to offend 1 person in 1,000? Well, you can't say anything about anything important ever without offending probably the person you're talking to. Important speech about important issues, especially contentious issues, is instantly offensive. This is true. Yeah, you can actually try listening when you're having a conversation, right? Assuming that both people who are having the conversation are of goodwill, and they're not trying to play tricks, and they're struggling towards the truth, which neither of them hold completely, and both understand that. Yeah, you can reach across fairly large gaps and negotiate peace. Thank God for that, or we'd be at each other's throats all the time.